plans to move off of OpenStack and more into Kubernetes or other space, or are you comfortable where you are still?
Uh, I'm not sure. I haven't really I've started engaging with the Kubernetes community on a governance perspective, but from a technical side, I haven't really felt that sort of attraction, inclination, or welcoming environment, perhaps. It doesn't help that I also need to learn Go. OpenStack is Python based, and I've been doing Python solely for 8, 9 years now. So uh, need to transition to a new language, learn a new community with all of the traditions and culture and changes that that new community brings. I'm not opposed to it. Like I'd like to be involved in more communities in general, but I find myself being less interested in the technical aspect of things and more interested in the governance, the big picture,
Yeah.
how the sausage is made, I guess.
You're destined for management then, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I hear that everyone gets promoted to that sort of role. Like you stop writing code, and seen that happen a bit with me as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been going through that journey too on my end, and well, Phil is not writing code for a living on a daily basis either.
Nope,
Um,
not for a
on
while.
Yeah, I still feel sometimes somewhat conflicted about it. Like even if I don't necessarily write code, at least I should go and install the software that the community is working on that I'm trying to help and support. And very rarely have the time or the physical hardware resources to actually install the thing. And sometimes that makes me feel so weird because I'm still an engineer at heart and just want to be involved there too. Do you feel that it's kind of conflicting too, or does it feel more like a natural evolution for you in terms of transitioning towards I'm actually interested in governance of all things and
On one hand, it coincided with my move from Boston to Washington, D.C., so that might have played a bit of a part in that. Just being here more involved, well, not involved, but being more exposed to politics and yeah, I don't know. It's just I started enjoying more of the social aspect and started getting more interested in the governance aspect. I just found that to happen organically. Uh, Also, I guess writing code at some point does start to get boring a bit as well because it's always the same process of writing the architecture, writing the code, writing the tests, getting consensus, getting it merged. It just changes what pattern you're using or how you're deploying it. These days it's Kubernetes. Yesterday it was VMs. The day before it was something else. So there's a lot of patterns and repetitions that start being more obvious and just all of the code that I've reviewed uh, start wanting to not review code after a while. I don't know. It's cyclical. I'm sure at some point I will start missing writing code and getting back to the technical side of things. I'm 100% sure of that.
So the job at Boston University, do you is there a team involved there, and are you becoming more of a governance management type versus or operations type versus developer there? And is there a compare and contrast between any development that's happening in Boston University versus what you do in an open source community such as OpenStack?
There are various teams because so initially the MOC Alliance was called the Massachusetts Open Cloud because our scope was very focused in building this one cloud for the Massachusetts like government and universities of the area, and it was very focused and it was a pretty large team and pretty large. It was four full-time people and an army of interns and students. That's why it feels large. But as the scope grew, other teams started getting tacked onto it. So one of the projects that we have is called the New England Research Cloud. and that's a collaboration more between Boston University and Harvard. So there's a team at Harvard, and I'm part of the team at Boston University. There are other collaborations. There's other permutations of teams that I am part of and not. It's just academic people start spinning up new acronyms and institutions as a way to get more funding and to pull in different people without other people or more people. And it's just so complicated that it just goes above me. I just call it the MOC, even though they want to call it the MOC Alliance. But my role is more of a, I guess, connecting link between the software that we're building ourselves that is open source, or the extensions that we're doing to various pieces of softwares, or the integrations between these components. And I'm usually the person who tries to go and engage with the team to contribute it back, just based on the fact that I have a lot of experience as part of an open source community, whereas the rest of the team was more focused inwards within our own cloud and our own tools. So I found an opportunity there to be more of a advocate of sorts, but also just an advocate with that goes back and gives you code, rather than an advocate that tries to connect two teams together. I don't know if I made a good job of explaining it. I'm not sure either. It's I'm making it up as I go.
No, I think that was a good explanation. And I think it's a relatively common task for anybody inside of an organization where you have open source engagement expertise, for a lack of a better term, right? You know how the community works, you know the right things to say to get the community to accept what you're doing, and so forth. So yeah, I think that's definitely a role that is common in organizations, and being that connective tissue between different teams that are using different tools internally as well. That just sounds like, a strong technical leader.
Like a one-man open source program office of sorts.
Yes.